Mike Mentzer, HIT. This is not going to be a video where I debate whether or not HIT training works. I think that all training works. That's my opinion. So I think that whether you do high intensity training or you do high volume training, whatever it is, I think it all works. I don't see how people can lift weights and get weaker unless you're not putting in effort, which I suppose is possible. There are some people out there who continue to lift the pink dumbbells for 1,000 reps. But rather, more importantly, I'm going to bring up a shout out to Paul Barnett, Anabolic Bodybuilding. Check out his channel. He did a pretty good video talking about Mike Mentzer's HIT training. And he pointed out that really you don't see very many people doing it with any longevity. You could say Dorian Yates, but Dorian Yates got injured and retired rather young. The thing you want to consider here, and Paul has more than one video. He actually has if you go, I am not a YouTube expert, but if you go to his channel and you swipe a few sideways things, you can get to this thing because this is live. I have no idea what that is, but for whatever reason they're there. And there's actually a live podcast or broadcast or whatever it is where they talk about Mike Mentzer. Multiple people talking about Mike Mentzer, and this video is really about Mike Mentzer. It isn't about his training style, or it is in a weird way, but it's because of him. So, Mike Mentzer didn't even do his own training program, actually. Apparently, the guy liked to work out for like 5 and 6 hours a day and rode his bike like 15 miles a day. That sounds nothing like this HIT concept where you work out for 30 minutes 1 to 3 times a week. No, working out for 5 to 6 hours a day is definitely high volume. That's an interesting thing. You might want to consider that here, that Mike Mentzer did not train the way that his HIT program is, would have you believe. And this doesn't surprise me. Most guys don't get to where they are training the way that they train at the current moment, if that makes sense. I've discussed this before. You look at Jay Cutler, and I bet Jay Cutler figured out how to train differently over time. But I guarantee, I know this is true for all of them. Nick Walker, Jay Cutler, Ronnie Coleman, Lee Haney, choose your individual. They all did the same thing in the beginning. The first 10 years were doing heavy squats, heavy deadlifts, heavy rows, and heavy presses. Big compound movements. That's how they built the size. Yes, I know. Once they're at the level that they're at, they train differently. So now, Jay Cutler's doing dumbbell bench presses, incline dumbbell bench presses, and he doesn't train to failure. But you know what? When he was young, he was doing flat bench press, training to failure, real heavy. He was doing squats, heavy squats. That's how he got to be big. So when you weighed 150 pounds or 185 pounds and you first started out, like what was Nick Walker at his first show? Something like 185 pounds? Yeah, he built the mass doing big compound lifts. Now he can do leg extensions and hamstring curls because he's just working on bringing up, proportions of his muscle groups to make them look better, right? I'm going to train my adductor so I have a better quad sweep, right? I'm going to train my, rear delt so I have a better, side tricep or something. The pose. The point being here, the way they train currently isn't how they got to where they are. The way they got huge was doing big compound lifts. Mike Mentzer did not do HIT training to get to where he was. He did high volumes. That's how he got there. And this shouldn't surprise you because this is no different than Arnold. Arnold never did the program in his book. You did, and you got weaker. Paul talked about this himself. He did Arnold's program and got weaker. He went backwards. Everyone that has done Arnold's program went backwards. Oh, yeah. You guys all forgot. Watch Pumping Iron. He gives out advices. Yeah. Arnold purposely gave out bad information. Milk is for babies. He only drinks beer. He said that to fuck with his competitors because Arnold actually drank 2 glasses of milk with each meal. So milk is for babies. Don't drink milk, but he does. He drinks milk. He drinks 2 glasses of milk with every meal. He put out bad information on purpose to sabotage his competition. Arnold did not do the training in his book. That high volume shit, that's not how he trained. He listened to Vince Gironda. And according to Frank Zane and Vince Gironda, Arnold took over 400 pills a day. But, according to Arnold, the most he ever used was 100 milligrams of testosterone per week. That was how he prepared for the Olympia. That's what he said. Now, whether or not you believe that is up to you, but being that the guy is known for giving out bad information, hell, this dude claimed that he was drug-free till like 2006. In 1999, he actually successfully sued someone for defamation because they accused him of having used drugs. Yes, he's an upstanding, honest person who has been transparent his entire career. This is an individual who has continually put out misinformation and incorrect information on purpose for the purpose of screwing with his competitors. So, Mike Mentzer is really no different. He claims that HIT training is this great thing, and that is not how he trained. He trained for 5 and 6 hours a day and did tons of cardio on his bike. But Mike Mentzer is an interesting character because apparently he was addicted to amphetamines. And he would run nandrolone-only cycles. And apparently he was into things like cocaine. And it seems to be that the stories about him are that he was suffering from schizophrenia and mania. He met with Bill Clinton on the moon to discuss the world. And he was being serious. Okay? I'm not saying this to be disparaging of Mike Mentzer. In fact, I really like Mike Mentzer. Prior to hearing all this, I thought Mike Mentzer was some type of visionary or something. But the reality of the situation is that Mike Mentzer apparently was a little off his rocker. And the thing is that when people are manic, they're very... What's the word I want to use here? They have a certain je ne sais quoi, right? They're very charismatic. They're very... They conduct themselves very well. They speak with extreme confidence. I probably shouldn't share this story, but I'm going to have you do it anyways. I dated a girl who was bipolar. And I remember this one time she had a manic episode. And she was like, I'm a fucking god. But she was serious. It's not so funny whenever someone's serious. When someone says that they're a god and believes that they're immortal and they're invincible, if they're being serious, it's actually kind of a scary thing. Who knows if she remembers that? Hope she doesn't watch my videos. Anyways, yeah. So Mike Mentzer was a little over the top. Extremely confident, charismatic, because he had mania, and he was on amphetamines and cocaine and anabolic steroids, which also alter your brain and your dopamine levels. So, I'm not sharing this video to bash Mike Mentzer. I still think that Mike Mentzer should have beaten up Arnold in 1980. If you guys don't know the story, Arnold rigged the 1980 Olympia. Whenever the guys found out, Mike Mentzer wanted to fight Arnold, and a whole bunch of people pulled him back. And then tons of guys quit the sport because they were so upset to find out that the Olympia was rigged. But the Olympia was always rigged. Arnold refused to do certain poses, and for any other competitor, if you refused to do those poses, you would have been disqualified. But Arnold somehow was allowed to cheat and not do certain poses that he didn't want to do because they made him look bad. The Olympia was always rigged. It's just the way it is. You know that it's more political than it is anything else. Why the hell can't Kai Green win? Kai Green can't win. Why? Because he had sex with a grapefruit. That's the reason. It's not because he doesn't have the best physique. It's not because he's not the most jacked guy on stage. It's not because he's not the most conditioned guy on stage. It's because, outside of the sport, he had sex with a grapefruit. Therefore, he can't win. Makes perfect sense, right? As if anyone would ever say to Tom Brady, Tom, you can't win the Super Bowl because once upon a time you did something. No one would give a shit in any other sport. This is a bodybuilding thing. Like, nobody cares. In other sports, if it came out that LeBron James, I don't know, used to have an OnlyFans or something, no one would care. They'd be like, here's your NBA championship. No one would care in another sport, but bodybuilding cares. So whatever. It's just the way things are. Randy Couture apparently used to do porn. No one gives a shit. Randy Couture can still win, UFC fights, because that's how it is in other sports. No one gives a shit. Anyways, off on a tangent. Point being, Mike Mentzer, HIT training. Apparently it's not all it's cracked up to be. And then if you guys know, I think, who did it? I think it might have been Mike Israetel, who did a video criticizing the whole Arthur Jones, Casey Viator thing. And it was actually very well done. It was very thorough. You should listen to it. That study was not really a study. And I think that a lot of people jump onto the sexy promises of HIT training, but it doesn't deliver what you think it will. And of course, now I'm not opposed to HIT training. I think HIT training can be great. Do I think it's the best way for you to be a bodybuilder? No, I don't. But I certainly, if you want to be like a Rich Froning or a Matt Fraser, yeah, that high-intensity CrossFit stuff works. You're just not going to look like a bodybuilder. Whatever. Not everyone wants to step on stage. Not everyone wants to look like Jay Cutler. But it's just something for you to consider. Different training styles will develop a different type of physique. And for the purpose of bodybuilding, it appears that, this high-volume stuff is probably a better way to train than doing HIT. If you think of people that did HIT, you have Dorian Yates. And that's who you got. Otherwise, and Ronnie Coleman is an exception, because Ronnie Coleman did high frequency, high volume, high intensity, high everything. He's just a freak. You're not Ronnie Coleman. So don't copy that. You'll just die. Anyways, there you guys have it. Just something to think about. That's all it is. That's all this video is. It's just something to think about. It's something I found really fascinating. I had no idea about Mike Mentzer being being on amphetamines and cocaine. So you might want to think about that before you just decide that you're going to follow his program. Same for now. Many of you probably didn't know about the Arnold thing. Yeah, he did not do that program. So don't go buy his book and then follow the program thinking it's going to work, because it isn't.